And I'm extremely excited for him to show you all some tips and tricks for increasing your engagement on social media and just overall your online presence. So again, he's the co-founder and he's a farmer at Primal Pastures Farm in Murrieta, California. So please welcome Paul Greive.
Beware, you're about to take computer advice from a farmer. So, anybody there for my talk yesterday? You guys know my background a little bit? Okay, so founder, and I call it the founding farmers of Primal Pastures. We're a pasture-based livestock farm about an hour and 15 minutes from here in Murrieta. We started in 2012. We bought 50 chicks with no farm background, no knowledge whatsoever, because we wanted to eat food that we couldn't find in the grocery store. We just wanted simple, what we thought was simple, food that was raised outside on pasture with a healthy diet. And we couldn't find that. So we literally pooled our money. We put $500 each between the four of us, so $2,000 went into the company, and we reinvested profits over time. Spent a lot of time doing, I don't want to call it social media, I want to call it guerrilla marketing, because there's more that goes into it than just that. But it will be a seven-figure business this year, just three years later, off $2,000 investment. So it's done very well financially, and I think a lot of it has to do with the marketing program that we've literally just come up with as we go. And from learning from folks like you, I feel like we have a good grasp on what works for us. So what today will not be is a comprehensive overview of all forms of social media marketing, but it will be sort of a case study on what's worked for us. And I want to leave plenty of time at the end for questions, but also feedback from those of you that really know what you're talking about too. So, guerrilla marketing. First of all, we have a lot of options in the marketing world these days, right? Business owners out there, some of you guys own businesses. You know that there's a plethora. I don't even know what 90% of these things are. You may. But I always like to say the number one first mistake that I see all the time is being a jack of all trades, master of none. And what that really means is we feel like we need to be on so many of these channels. It becomes very confusing and we end up not doing a good job on any of them. So as far as social media goes today, I'm just going to focus on the two that work best for us. That may not be what works best for you, but for us, Facebook and Instagram have been the most powerful and what I like to call the most juice for our squeeze as far as marketing goes. Another sort of caveat and clarification before I really get started. I'm a business owner. I run a farm full time. I have a family. I go to school. I have a lot of other things going on. I can't spend 20, 30, 40 hours a week just on marketing. And many of you that are business owners are going to be the same way. So while we do have marketing companies and people that do this full time, what I have to do, what I'm forced to do, is something that fits within my schedule for our marketing. I can't go and spend a ton of extra time, do all these different channels. I wish we had a YouTube channel, it'd be amazing. I don't have time to do it justice though, so we really have to pick and be very good at the few that we do decide to do. So, I'm going to go through 6 specific tools that we use within our farm and within our business. I'm going to make recommendations for programs like MailChimp. I'm fully aware there's other ones out there that do a good job, but I want to give you specifically what we use so that maybe you can look into it. I'm not being paid by any of these people to give these recommendations, but I want to give you specific action steps that you can talk about incorporating within your business. So, number one, and what I feel is way more important than any social media out there, is a mailing list. Emails, the power to put a message into somebody's inbox is far and away the best thing that you can possibly have. I used to be an accountant. You saw a CPA. So when we go and value companies, a huge part of their value would literally be their email list. If it was 100,000 and generated X dollars, that was worth X millions of dollars. Nobody cares about how many likes you have on your Facebook page in the business world. It might be cool for your friends and for your social circles, but really the email list, the power to drive a campaign, to track specific clicks, what people are clicking on, what they're looking at, what the open rate is, super, super, super powerful data. So my number one and most important takeaway is start building your email list. Sometimes it's discouraging. Email list doesn't go up nearly as fast as social media can. When somebody shares your business on Instagram, you get all these new followers overnight. A lot of times that doesn't translate directly to email. But I'll do a couple case studies on email stuff later on if you guys want, and talk about the direct revenue that email will create. Another thing I should have mentioned in the beginning, we're purely revenue and profit based marketing. I don't care at all about how big my reach is and all these other things. If it doesn't drive to like bottom line profit for us, we're a small business, We thrive on that. We can't, we're not sustainable without economic profit. I don't have time for it. So email is one of those ones that's got a direct correlation to my bottom line profits, and that's why, to me, it's the most important one by far. MailChimp I really like. I'm sure there's other good ones too, but MailChimp lets you create kind of like these beautiful looking email templates. That on the right there is what the actual email looks like when it lands in someone's inbox. Say somebody clicks on like that top left picture, which says whole chicken. That's one of our products that we sell. I'll actually be able to see down to the actual person how many times they've clicked it, what time they clicked on it, if they clicked on anything else. So that gives me a ton of good data for me to process and to make future campaigns. I know that it's probably annoying when you're on somebody else's website and they have a pop-up that asks for your email, but trust me, it works. So it's something I have to recommend. Even though I hate when other people have them, they work. They really drive people to sign up for your mailing list. The biggest thing is don't collect mail and then spam people. Don't send them out 2, 4, 5 times a week. We limit our stuff to once a week, and we're very consistent. It's always on a Tuesday morning. Some of you guys maybe already receive our emails. We try to keep them short and to the point, and we try to have valuable information in there with ordering, delivery, the stuff people really want to know. So the email pop-up, I feel like it is kind of a necessary evil. You don't have to do it, obviously, but it's worked really well for us. I think we're gaining probably double the rate of email addresses that we're acquiring with this simple pop-up tool. Most websites should have that as an app. If not, talk to your developer or whatever. The next one is, where's my laser? So definitely have like this join our mailing list thing somewhere on your front page. I highly recommend that. People, if you're going to collect emails somehow, they've got to know where to put their email in, and you can actually collect it that way. So those are the 2 ways that we really focus on collecting the emails. The other thing is obviously when people are ordering, try to have some kind of way that you can collect their email information when they're ordering too. That's a major mistake to not have that. Go on. We can hit them later. Yes, please.
Quick question on the pop-ups. Is there a way to recognize a unique user so that if they've already signed up that it doesn't keep popping up?
Yeah. Any Shopify users out there? Shopify is our platform. I love Shopify. The app has a specific, like, this user's been on here. I think it lets us choose if they haven't visited in the last 45 days, it'll pop it up again or something like that. But
that's awesome.
I don't know about everything, but on Shopify it definitely has. Was there another one?
Lead Pages does it.
Pages does it too? Lead Pages? Oh, Lead Pages is awesome. That's a whole different conversation. I know Lead Pages is great.
I'm going to talk about that.
Robin's going to talk about Lead Pages. That's probably the most effective tool for collecting emails. I didn't even talk about that one. We don't use it, but it is good. Was there something else? Yes?
I just wanted to ask about freemium content, having something that you give in exchange for the email address. I don't know how that would work for you guys, maybe videos of chickens and pigs or something.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you guys are familiar with what he's talking about. Put your email in here and you get the 90-day recipe booklet or some kind of cheat sheet or whatever. I haven't thought of a good way to connect that to our stuff yet, but for a lot of the businesses in this room, that's exactly what you should be doing. Lead Pages is the ultimate for the freemium giveaway stuff.
Okay.
And a really good way to collect like highly targeted leads too. All right, number 2, before we're even getting into the social media stuff, getting blogged about has been probably the most powerful tool that we've had in the 3-year course of our business. Now, we have a physical product. We have something we can give to bloggers for them to enjoy and write a review. I get that. You may not have that. But if you do have something like that, getting blogged about has been absolutely huge. This is a short list of different companies and websites and people that have written about us. You can see some small, some fairly big. Huffington Post, LA Times, what was the other one? MSN, they all picked us up. There's varying degrees of how effective this can be, but if you get in with somebody who's targeted in your industry that does a really good write-up of you, it can be a complete game changer for your business. The thing to focus on for getting blogged about is to be ready for it. So bloggers, any bloggers in the room, people, you guys are busy, right? You don't have time to like do all this research, to come out to the farm, to take a bunch of photos. It doesn't work like that. For a good blogger who's got a big audience and who's making money on their blog, they're super busy. So what we highly recommend is a media kit. Always have a media kit ready to go. We put it in either like a Google Drive or a Dropbox. It's got high resolution, super quality photos. It's got a whole write-up on what we do and what we're all about. And that way, if they do decide that they want to write about us, we say, here's the whole media kit, and then it's like a 5-minute phone call. They get a little bit of original content, and then they're good to go. just remember when you're trying to get blogged about and you're trying to focus on getting your name out there this way, it can be super effective, but these people are very busy. So I think it's always important to respect people's time. And if you come into it with that understanding that, look, these people have a lot of stuff going on, they have a million other things they could write about, I think having that media kit ready to go at all times is really good for blogging. One example, Food and Wine magazine, big one. They have a big online presence too. We were literally, is my wife in the room? You remember when we got written about these guys? How many, we maybe had like 2 chicken tractors and 5 sheep or something like that. But we had these beautiful photos. Let me see. This is the one that went to print eventually in Food and Wine magazine. They contacted us and they said, hey, we want to include you guys in the 9 farms that are changing the way America eats. And we're like, are you gotta be kidding me right now? I have like 100 chickens in my backyard and like 5 sheep. But we had these great photos. We had somebody came out and take professional photos, which is something I'll always highly recommend. I think it's $250, $500, so well worth the investment. A lot of times you can trade them for services or products. But that's really what drove it. So Food and Wine came out, they put us up. This was a huge boost for us, obviously highly targeted audience. We didn't go after these guys, they came to us, and it was simply because we had the media kit and those pictures ready to go. And I think they were literally like, hey, we have to publish this in 2 days. If you have stuff, great. If not, we're going to have to move on. And we were like, thank God we actually have this media kit ready to go. So that was just one example of the way it works. It eventually went to print. And I mean, it had like my mom calling, oh, it's so cool. I saw you in Food and Wine at the grocery store and all that. And we were literally tiny back then. So it was really actually stupid that they did that, but that's okay. Guest blogging is totally different from getting blogged about, offering to write guest blogs. There's more knowledge just within this room than we could ever know what to do with. Remember what I said about these bloggers being very busy people. They're always looking for content. They need to put out content almost on a like multiple times daily basis for some of these big blogs. Anybody familiar with Mark's Daily Apple? Yes. Number 5 health site in the world, like very, very big time. This one was actually in the middle of our Kickstarter campaign. We decided to kickstart our farm to try to get some initial capital to get us up and running. And we contacted Mark's Daily Apple and said, hey, could we write a guest blog for you? Because they do a fair amount of that stuff. And they said yes. This blog, I wrote from an auditor's cubicle to a real life shepherd. This was like my story going from an accountant to being a farmer. And it went totally viral, completely blew up. I think we did $20,000 into our Kickstarter in 1 day when this article dropped. And that was purely just from like asking around. With guest blogging, I mean, you may ask 99 times and have 1 person actually allow you to write a guest blog on a decent site. But that's what marketing is a lot of times. There's a lot of rejection and it's a little bit of success. But if you land a big account like this, the success is massive. So guest blogging, I've always just felt like it's different from, you know, the whole media kit and having somebody write about you is go offer to write for them. I think it's really kind of an honor for them. It's a really good way to introduce yourself to some of these big blogs, even if they say no. Like now you're on their radar, you're kind of within their network. So I think guest blogging has been really, really effective for us. Speaking engagements, what I'm doing right now. Who knows who this guy is? Anybody?
Napoleon Hill.
Napoleon Hill? No.
No. Oh. Carnegie? Carnegie.
Not Carnegie. No. You know, right?
Weston Price.
Weston Price, yeah, come on. Napoleon Hill, I like it though. This is just one example, but speaking engagements is something that we were afforded the opportunity to do at a really early start too. We were getting all these ridiculous things, like we're featured in Food and Wine, speaking, and we were like 1 year into the business, literally like 50 chickens in the backyard. So, but especially groups like Weston Price, if you're not familiar with them, absolutely look them up. They're right in line with what we're talking about throughout this whole conference. They have these home meetings. Who's Weston Price member in here, by the way? Anybody? Cool. They have these home meetings all throughout the country. It's usually like 10 to 20 people, so it's not a real intimidating way to get your feet wet on a speaking engagement. They're always looking for guest speakers to come in. It could be a 20-minute talk about whatever your expertise is. It doesn't need to be anything earth-shattering, but I think that starting to look for these speaking engagements is really powerful. I think I contacted you originally last year for Take Back Your Health, and I just said, hey, I saw it's in our backyard. If you need somebody on a panel or even just a volunteer or whatever, I'd be happy to do that. And then that turns into like speaking twice at the next year, you know? So stuff can turn into some pretty awesome stuff sometime. It's a great way to network. It's a great way to get your name out in front of a lot of like a targeted audience. Like all of you people are obviously interested in food and nutrition, and I get to come up here and ramble on to you for a little bit. But I think speaking engagements is a really great way to go. I know you're shy, you don't think you have anything to offer. Trust me, when it comes to like the general public, you have a ton of information, and if you could just organize it into a 20-minute talk or so, it'll be really valuable for the people that are in the room. So I just can't encourage you enough to go for some speaking engagements. All right, now we get to the meat and potatoes, right? Facebook and Instagram, they've been very good to us. So when we very first started out on Facebook, it was like 2012, and I know things have changed quite a bit in 4 years on Facebook. So it's not what it once was, but what I'll make the argument for is it's actually much powerful now than it was back then. The issue is now, in my opinion, if you really want to play the Facebook game, you're going to have to pay. So it's a little bit of a pay-to-play game now. But I'll show you some numbers and some stats from my business that will show you it's very well worth it to play in that space. Why do I put Muhammad Ali, a boxing analogy, up here? Anybody ever heard of the hook, hook, jab, or jab, jab, hook theory with Facebook advertising or any really social media? Okay, so I like to say 5 jabs to every 1 hook. What does that really mean? A jab. Think of a jab in a boxing match. You're throwing a lot of jabs all the time, and then once you get the guy kind of tired down, or you kind of got to play, and then you go for the knockout, right, with the big hook. But you're using your jabs very wisely, a lot, in order to set you up for that big knockout. So the jab is really your storytelling posts. That's when you're sharing things about your family, your farm. You're sharing interesting articles. You're writing original content. You're not trying to sell anything with the jabs. All you're doing is try to kind of build this really collaborative, interesting environment where people want to follow you and they have a reason to follow you other than just buying your product. The hook is where you're going to come in 1 in 5 posts. Some people even say 1 in 10. Depends on how much you post. I'm like a once-a-day poster. I know that could be up or down from that, but we're really like once a week, probably we do a selling post, a hardcore selling post. We put money on it on Facebook, and it delivers serious results. So I like the 5-to-1 ratio. I've heard anything from like maybe 3-to-1 to 10-to-1 for the jab, jab, hook method. I think there's even a book out called like Jab, Jab, Hook, Social Media Principles or something. Yeah. What is it?
Gary Vaynerchuk.
Gary Vaynerchuk?
Vaynerchuk?
Yeah, Vaynerchuk, all right.
He's like a startup money.
If you're fired up on it, look that up, Gary Vaynerchuk. All right, so we're gonna go a tale of 2 posts here. I don't want to get too like into the weeds of the details on this, but I wanted to show a couple real life examples from this week on our farm. The jab, this is a sort of standard post for us. It's nothing out of the blue. This is something we post almost every day. So this is, it's way too small for you to read, I get that, but this is a little post about liver. It says, read this before eating organ meats. You should know that you should be eating organ meats, but you need to be careful because it's really kind of like the animal's filter. If you're going to do it, make sure you're getting organs from pasture-raised animals and a species-appropriate diet. There's not much more toxic than a liver from a CAFO animal, whether it's chicken, beef, pork, lamb, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, it gets picked up a little bit. I didn't put any money on this one. I never promote or boost or pay for posts that aren't going to give me direct revenue. There's no link here. There's no, like, there's no way they could click on it and go to our store, anything. It's literally just to put out some interesting information, try to drive some people to engage. And you could see like 100-something people like that post. We have like 16,000 people on our Facebook page, fans of our Facebook page, which is a number I literally ascribe no value to. It's all about your reach at the end of the day, but we have a good amount for a farm at least. So we had a few comments on that, whatever. This is like a run-of-the-mill thing. This is not anything really new. This is, I would try to post something like this pretty much every day, and then that really sets you up. This is good content. It's like interesting information for people, and that sets me up after a few of those to come in for the big hit. So what were our insights? Facebook has a ton of good data. If you have time to even just like click around on Facebook, you don't need to read a book, you don't need to do anything. Just click on the insights page, click on some of the different hot links within your like home Facebook page, and it'll give you a lot of good insights. So that liver post right there, what was it, 112 people liked it or whatever, that number means nothing to me. This is what I'm really looking at. So I reached 4,100 people. The 4,100 people saw that post. 143 reactions. You can see what those reactions were. Some people liked it. Now they have the whole love or wow thing. Some people loved it. We had a bunch of comments, a bunch of shares, 293 post clicks, which all that means is that they're looking at the comments and stuff. But that's actually really useful information. So if you're having a hard time figuring out what good content is and what's not, don't pay too much attention to what your likes are in each picture. Like, go and look at the insights, because that's way better information than trying to just go off of likes. Okay, the hook. Now we're coming into the selling post. So let's say I did 5 of those, maybe 6, 7, whatever, of those sort of informational storytelling posts. Now I'm going to come in with the hook. So once a week, we ship. We ship every week on Wednesday. It'll arrive on doorsteps on Thursday. So we do our big selling days on a Tuesday. And that's the same thing every single week. So what I'm going to do is on Tuesday morning at like 10 a.m., it's pretty consistent now, the battle rhythm kind of works, is I'm going to drop this selling post. And I certainly encourage you guys to follow us or follow. The best way to learn social media is not to read a book, it's follow people that do a good job. And I'm not saying we're doing a great job, but follow some people that you think are doing a good job. If you're a health practitioner, go and find the best health practitioner Facebook and literally just watch what they do, and you'll get a lot from that. But this would be a selling post for us. I'm going to call it the hook. So we come up, it's always a clickable large photo picture for us. That's what I've found works the best. Look into all Facebook's ad regulations that you can't have too much text on the photo. It has to be a certain size. You have to scale it, all this stuff, but it's not super complicated. For selling posts, I always stick to like a really short description. I don't do real long write-ups on the selling post. I think it's a little bit more of like an impulsive thing because I've set them up with the jabs. Jab, 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 jab. I've already got them super interested. And then they see the big full color photo. And it's, you know, this one says, our famous pasture-raised chickens finally back in stock again and shipping tomorrow, parentheses, and we have bacon. That always helps. And then the tagline below, chicken from birds that live outside on grass with no antibiotics, GMOs, or soy ever. So really, really simple. I'm not like giving a ton of information in this post. I'm really relying on all that information, not just from my jab posts, but also from speaking engagements and from everything else, the mail and you know, the blog posts. I want people to hear this in stereo at this point. Like, that's one thing we talk about a lot with social media is it's most effective when they're not just seeing you on Facebook. Like, hopefully they've seen us at an event. Maybe they're already getting our mail. So then once this selling post comes in, it's like the final thing that would just push you over the edge. It's like, all right, fine. I know I should be buying pastured chicken. I guess I'll do it. So this one, the results, we'll look into it, but essentially I ran it for one day, and then since we ship on Wednesday, we cut our orders off on Tuesday night. I just paused the post. Like, if it hasn't spent the full amount that I put onto it, I just pause it at like 10 p.m. Nothing good happens after 10 p.m. So I don't want to be spending a bunch of money after 10 p.m. This one, 16,000 people reached, 70 people shared it. We had like 16 comments or something like that, which is actually pretty good for us, for our size page. So I'll come up with that post, I'll structure it all right, I'll get just the right photo that I think is going to work great. I'll definitely go back and look at previous successful boosted posts or previous unsuccessful is sometimes even more helpful, stuff that didn't work very well, and I'll really just copy that. I'm not coming up with anything super new. And then I'm going to boost the post. So to me, if I'm going to spend all this time, I can do a jab post, 2-3 minutes on my phone, whatever, it doesn't take a lot of time. For the selling posts, I'm usually putting at least $200 on them. I'll at least set like a $200 budget on them. So I'm going to spend some time on this. I'm going to spend 10, 20, 30 minutes, which doesn't sound like a lot of time. For those of you guys that own businesses, you know that's a lot of time to spend on one task. So I'm going to spend time getting this set up right, making sure we have the right market. This is where Facebook becomes insanely valuable. This is where it takes you above Instagram, YouTube, any of these, is the ability to highly target a selected audience. So are people boosting out there already? Some? All right, cool. So you know what's up with this. So we're going to walk through these. This is what the boost allows you to do. Select your audience. It gives you 3 options. People who like your page, people who like your page and their friends, or people you choose through targeting. For me, I always go for targeting because I have a very specific audience that I want this to be delivered to. If I want to spend $200, we only ship within Southern California. So why would I spend $100 on people that can't even possibly order my product? That may not be the same for your business, but do it fits your thing well. Location-based targeting. So you know Facebook knows everything about you. That's not good for you until you own a business and you want to market. It becomes really valuable information. So my locations are set just to Southern California, just to where people can actually purchase my product. Interests. So this one's like really crazy. I don't even know how they figure this out exactly. I think it's based on pages that you like as well as different posts that you like throughout the day or whatever. And they can actually tell what your interests are. So the interests that I set, again, we have a pastured livestock farm, organic food, sustainable agriculture, organic farming, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods Market, and farmers markets. And it'll literally tell me how many people are on Facebook that fit that location, this interest, and my age range, which I set at 28 years old minimum up to, I don't care how old you are. But we do set a 28 minimum. Not to be age discriminatory, but I know that I wasn't cooking at home a whole lot until I was at least 28. So the last one it allows you to set on is gender. So if, like we were talking about, some businesses are highly female dominated, highly male dominated. That may be worth it for you. For us, I feel like we're 40-60 split men to women that are ordering our stuff, so we don't discriminate there. But this is super valuable. Like, your parents used to put ads in the yellow pages, and you just hope people read it, you know? This is a whole different ballgame. So when you start talking about costs per click, costs per impression, the typical terms people talk about with social media, you almost can't even look at it that way, because if I'm getting cost per click of, say, 50 cents, but it's highly targeted like this, compared to 25 cents, but it's who knows who from throughout the entire world, I'll pay the extra 50, like the 50 cents every single time, because it's going to give me such greater results. So again, I'm going to set this boost. I've got my post all structured. It's ready to go. I set the boost. Only people I choose for targeting within my local area here in Southern California. Interests that I feel like match my direct target consumer. The ages that I know my consumers are in, and I didn't go specify between male and female. Now it gives you next the option to set whatever budget you'd like, and it'll actually give you the estimated reach based on how many people they know are in this niche. It'll give you the estimated reach of how many people are going to see the post. So like right now, just based on our business and the size of our page and all that, I usually put $200 on it, and it'll tell me right here it's going to reach between 4.8 and 12.8 thousand people. And they will deliver that. Like, it's not like you're paying and hoping it's going to be delivered. It will be delivered to that many people, and that's actually how you pay. So you can sit there and watch your post on your phone. Your bill goes up and up as it gets delivered to more and more people. The really cool thing about that is if you do one that sucks and it's like not doing very well, if it's showing to a bunch of people and you're seeing it that nobody's clicking on it, they're just seeing it and they're not clicking on it, I'll turn it off like right away. I can tell if it's going to be a good post within $10. And if it's good, I'll let it ride, 200. Maybe I'll put another 200 on if it's doing really well. But that's a super effective, like real-time marketing strategy that you can say, look, if this thing's not working, I'm going to turn it off right away. So you're not, just because you set this to 200 doesn't mean you're committed to paying 200 for your marketing campaign overall. That's a lot of information if you haven't really heard of it before. Oh, then it allows you to say how many days you want the ad to run for too. So we always do 1 day because that's our sales cycle. But let's stop here. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I have this question. I think it's good to ask right now. The interest chart, I always wondered, because sometimes they used to have it, I would use my laptop, and they would start popping up suggestions. Yeah. So I was under the impression that you needed to use an interest that was only one of their suggested pop-ups, and if you made up your own, is that as effective? Because maybe they don't have that as one of their categories.
I think you have to use theirs. I do think that that's the case, yeah. Okay. If you don't know what she's talking about, then you just have to do it. Like, it's a hard thing to describe, but they prescribe what the different interest categories are. There's probably a million of them, but
it's what they call auto-populated results.
Yes.
Facebook has created in line with the interests, and it's already preset determined by Facebook. So when you start typing, let's say organic food or organic, we'll start producing some options, and you can click that option. As long as you select that, it will tie up the interest.
Thank you. Was there another question? You good?
I was going to say, so if you are doing that, paying for an ad, when you say my limit is 200,
yes.
Once it reaches 200, does the ad vanish?
It won't vanish. As long as you're publishing as a post on your page and not doing the dark post, which we can talk about later, but as long as you do a regular post, it'll stay on your page. It just won't be paid to be delivered to any new people. The last little tidbit I'd say on these interests, I think this is probably well, I don't want to say the most important, but it's really important. The mistake that I know a lot of people make is like, if I was going to X-nay one of these, I would cross off organic food, because it'll tell you how many people that this will result in. And you actually want this number to be lower, not higher. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but the lower it is, the more niche your ad is really going to be. So like organic food, probably, I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it's like 18 million people within the US. And when you pare that down to Southern California, it turns into like 4 million people. That's a lot, you know? So I would rather have like sustainable agriculture. Although, think about sustainable agriculture, who's interested in that? Probably more like farming people than necessarily consumers, so maybe that's not even that good of one. Organic farming. I think maybe my best one is like Whole Foods Market. If you're shopping at Whole Foods, you're probably a direct customer of like our pastured livestock farm. This one probably only has like 500,000 people within Southern California, maybe like Whole Foods Market and pages related to that. So I know it sounds counterintuitive, but you actually want your niche to be smaller, not bigger, and that's just marketing 101. Yeah?
You mentioned turning off the ad past 10 o'clock. Where would you do that?
Let me see if I have a picture of it. When this ad is live, this won't say view results. It'll say boost post, and then when I boost it, it'll say pause boost. So it'll be this little tab right here. It can be accessed from your phone or your computer or whatever. And so the same thing, like at 10 o'clock, I've just noticed our sales drop off. There's a lot of people online, they're active, but they're probably sitting in bed, like just zoning out, looking at Facebook. They're probably not like in an active food ordering kind of mindset, right? We all know. So I don't really like, I want to pay for you to like lay in bed and look at my ad, you know? I'm sure it could result in some sales, but nowhere near like the 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock time frame is when we get a ton of activity. So I've just noticed, I'll pause it at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, whatever. Different ads though respond different ways. I mean, I don't know what it is. There's a lot that goes into marketing. I don't know it all, but if you just pay attention to the numbers, I think it helps a lot. Same thing. If I put this up and for some reason, like, I don't know, it's like poorly written or a poor grainy photo or something, which this kind of is on the big screen apparently, but if it's just not performing well, I'll just pause it or I'll just delete it and just do another one or whatever. It's not that big of a deal. I think I have one more slide on this. All right, here's where the rubber meets the road. So again, small business, I'm not going for just reach. I need to drive dollar bills like into my account. So this is where it really the rubber meets the road. So you saw 16,500 people reached on this, 561 likes. Again, don't worry about that number. That really doesn't matter. 72 shares. Shares are a number that really matters. That's a way that you can get a lot of reach, like for free pretty much, when people are sharing your post. It doesn't matter if it's Joe Schmo that shares it. They're still going to share it, and you're still probably 5, 10, 20 people are going to see it from that one share. So shares are a good number to focus on. Comments, I'm like not even going to go there, how important it is. It is really important to respond to comments, to be active on your social media. Don't go post stuff and like not pay attention to the people who are trying to respond. And I mean, I'm fully guilty of it, I promise you. Maybe some of you guys have tried to write us Facebook, how do I order? And then I come back a month later and I see that nobody responded to it. It's like, come on, spend all this money and then somebody asks how to order and you don't even respond to them. But that's just from being too busy sometimes. All right, now let's get over here. So from that 16,000, 13,700 of those were paid. So that basically means if I had not boosted that, this only would have reached like 3,000, 2,800 or less because of the shares and everything else. I spent 115 of that, so I probably put 200 on it in the morning, and it hadn't spent the full 200, so at 10 o'clock I just paused it. So I was at 115 bucks. You can see exactly what the paid actions were, so 208 link clicks. Link clicks is, again, that's all I really care about. I don't really care if they like my page, that's nice, that's great. I don't really care if they like the post, that's great. 208 link clicks are that direct, the whole purpose of the hook is to get people to click on that link and to purchase products. So I see 208 clicks, I spent $115 on that, so somewhere around 50 cents per click. But again, that's a targeted click, right? That's somebody who's in Southern California, interested in the things that I think about. That's, well, I forget what all I had on there. Between my like purchasing age, 28 and 65, and they're clicking on this thing. So I know that that's pretty good numbers. 50 cents a click is high in some spheres, but for how targeted and how niche my post was right there, that's really, really cheap. My average cart is 150. So I know if I'm spending 50 cents and converting like 1 in 10 or 1 in 20 of those, and I'm getting 150, 50% margin, not to go crazy on numbers, $75 of profit on that order, and I'm spending maybe like $4 or $5 to get a brand new customer that's going to order like 12 times probably. Great numbers, right? Really, really good numbers. So on this one post, within the time frame that this was running, I went back and checked. We did $5,500 in revenue. And of that $5,500 in revenue, it was only 2% spend on the marketing, which is really, really, really good. Not all that, again, was driven from this post. I also had an email campaign that was going the day before, had all the other stuff going into it, but that's good numbers. And when I first got into this, I heard a lot of, oh, I'll never pay for Facebook. I'll never do it. You know, like I'm never going to pay for advertising, this and that. And I was like in the same camp because I heard all these people saying it, and I was like, yeah, I'm never going to pay for advertising. Like that's BS. But then when you see these numbers, it's like, if you see those numbers and you're not going to pay for advertising, you're not an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? You're like way too stuck in your own ways. So to me, at that level, it's like a necessity. You just have to do it. I think that's it on Facebook. Oh yeah, once again, forget about the likes. I think that's the biggest thing. It's not a popularity contest. We're in business to try to make money, to be financially sustainable, even if it's not your #1 motive of why you started the business. It's not mine either. But don't worry about the popularity contest. It's not about how many people like your page. It's about the reach and the bottom line dollars that the posting is driving. Facebook. Any other questions on Facebook? We're going to go Instagram next. Okay. We got time for some questions afterwards too, maybe. Instagram. Instagram has kind of like become the beloved social media platform. I don't know if there's more or less people on Facebook than Instagram. I think there's a lot more on Facebook actually, but it's definitely become more the newer, the younger, the hipper, and now that's like transitioning to Snapchat. So now we're already like old if we're on Instagram, right? But Instagram for us as a very photogenic like business that's able to produce a lot of good visual content, it's a perfect fit for what we do. Contrast that with like Twitter or say Pinterest or something as not that good of a fit for us. It may be a great fit for you guys. But I'm going to talk about what Instagram does for us and why it's been really effective for us so far. Why this picture? Instagram is really, it's only a jab platform. You don't really have the ability to hook. There's no way to link really effectively. There's no way to track if people are following your links. It's really like a strong branding platform. It's a place to tell your story. And if you feel like doing that is going to help you, then Instagram is a great place. If not, there may be a better platform for you. So I'm not saying Instagram's the end all to be all, but for us, it works well. Okay, so what does Instagram look like? I think if you don't even know what Instagram is, then just tune out for this one because it's probably not going to be that useful for you. Instagram is really the new form of blogging, in my opinion. You see a lot of like traditional blogs of people that host their sites off of Instagram. They have the whole post and the pages and the comments and all that stuff. I think what I notice is that it's really transitioning to Instagram-based platform or Facebook or other places. And so this is like my last, I don't know, whatever, 20 posts or something like that. And it's all about storytelling. So I may do a little bit of like a quasi-sell every once in a while, but it's always about storytelling on Instagram, and it's really powerful for that. So I have I think 5 posts that I'll walk you through and hopefully just spur on some ideas for some different types of posts, different things that you can do on Instagram that are helpful. First up, this is our standard post right here. It's almost like a mini blog. You can see we got a decent amount of text on the side, a nice photo. These are our cows up in Northern California. It's got a little bit of information. It says constantly rotating livestock is fundamental to what we believe in at Primal Pastures. By following nature's graze, fertilize, rest cycle, our management results in soil regeneration year after year. This goes way beyond sustainability and applies to cattle, sheep, pork, chicken production. And then we tag our ranch up in Northern California. Good amount of comments. This was actually a video, so that's one thing Instagram's great with is a video posts. If you can come up with like a good video that is engaging for folks, I think Instagram's a great place to use that. A lot of folks are constantly like tagging their friends. When you start to see your Instagram page grow a lot, it's because you're producing interesting content and people are like tagging their friends, and their friends will come on and they'll follow your page. So this is like our run-of-the-mill standard Instagram post. Literally takes like 30 seconds to write a decent Instagram post, and that's good for the busy business owners out here. You don't want to spend a ton of time on this, and I don't think you really need to. Next up, there's my boy. So this would be like a family post, you know, like Instagram's really good for getting away from your core business a lot of times. Look at him. He's fired up on that one. You remember that, buddy? So it's really good for talking about things outside of the business, for doing cute photos, for doing stuff with our family. We post a lot of stuff about our family. And although that's never going to result in like, oh, cute kid, let me go buy some meat. Obviously, that's not how it works. I hope not. It makes people feel like they're part of your story. And that's really what Instagram is all about. Inviting people into the story, inviting them to feel like they're part of your company, to see the background a little bit, to see what's going on behind the scenes. So this is just as important as a hook post. You know, people come up to me all the time, oh, I love ordering from you guys. That photo you posted of Noah was so cute. It's like, all right, it's cool that you know my son's name, first of all, but like that stuff, it sticks with people, and you know, it really does. Another one is just like funny photos, like random looking stuff. So we have like a photogenic farm, and that's one reason why we play to Instagram a lot, is because I walk outside and that's like what I see. You know, the crazy boar like staring at me, sticking his giant tusks out, and his tongue's like hanging out of the other side of his mouth. This, again, nobody's going to see that and be like, ooh, pork chops. You know, like that's not the way it works. But in order to be like effective on social media, you have to understand it's not always about like driving sales. It's like, haha, look how many 29 comments, which isn't a ton, I know, but almost all of them are like tagging friends in this one. So it's new people that are coming in that are going to see your other posts and just like get excited about the farm. And it's ultimately just engaging content. It's like interesting for people. This one had almost no text. A lot of them, we don't even put any text with them. If it's a good photo, there's really no purpose to this photo other than just like, haha, like check out this random looking boar. These are emoticons that just don't come up on desktop, but yeah, it's not always necessary to do a lot of text or a lot of information. It's good to switch it up all the time. This is as close as we'll come to like a hook post or a selling post on Instagram. We'll feature like a new product and we'll just talk about it. Probably not even saying how you can get it or where you can get it, because that's not really what Instagram is for. Every once in a while we'll do stuff like that, but this one, we're just highlighting a new lamb sausage that we came out with. We're really proud of the ingredients. All it was lamb, sage, black pepper, honey, and garlic. And so we're like, all right, let's put that up. And you know, it didn't do like amazing. Usually selling posts on Instagram have much lower likes on them. And on Instagram, all you have to go off of is your likes and comments. You don't have any other insights that you can gauge from. You don't really know. So that's all you have to go off of. That's lower than our average, but it doesn't matter. It's just putting some information about the products, getting people hungry. And then last one that I'll just touch on is giveaways. These have been super good for us. Instagram giveaways are so easy to run. The way that we always do them, and we should actually do more because they're cheap and they're easy to do. If you have a product, especially that'll ship nationwide, Instagram giveaways are like amazing. There's people that have built million follower accounts just based on giveaways and stuff. And like this one, I think we're giving away a $20 item, you know? So it's not like it's costing us hardly anything to do this. 154 comments. The way that we run our giveaways is you have to like our page and tag 3 friends to be entered into the drawing. And so, I mean, think about the exposure that you're getting just from that for 20 bucks. I think actually we did 4 in one. So it was like 80 bucks really of retail, which is like 20 bucks in our cost. On this honey giveaway, a product that's shelf stable. It's going to ship nationwide really well, and the giveaways are great. Giveaways, don't be intimidated by them. Even if you only get like 10 people to enter your giveaway, who cares if it's not a super expensive item or anything? If you have a product that's geared well towards that, I think giveaways can be super good. So 154 people tagged 3 friends. So really that's like 600 people that got in, saw our page, like got active on our page, and they follow us too. So then we get to them with the story and all that stuff later on. So giveaways, I like giveaways better on Instagram than Facebook personally. I think they work really well. Okay.
Can I just ask you a quick question?
Please.
Do you just randomly pick the person who gets the
Yeah, I don't know.
And do you you disclose anything? Because, no.
Remember on Facebook, they got really strict about doing giveaways, and they, like, Facebook HQ would come and pull your posts, and they'd like do all this stuff. Instagram, as far as I know, they don't care at all. I mean, I could pick my best friend and nobody would ever know. I do, I don't do that. I always do I always do a random number generator. I'll say like 154 comments. I'll just Google random number generator, and I'll say between 1 and 154, pick it, and then if it's like 65, I'll just go to the 65th comment, and that's who gets it. Nothing really fancy. Anything else on Instagram? We'll have a time for questions in a minute. Yeah, go.
I was just curious, you know how you mentioned replying to comments on Facebook? When people comment on your post, they're just like, oh, nice, or nothing like specifically directed at you,
For sure.
like tagging Primal Pastures or asking a question. Do you feel it's beneficial to respond to something like that? Or, because sometimes it's hard to be consistent if there's people that are like, oh, thumbs up, nice.
Yeah, I say
Don't engage.
that hints to like a bigger issue in social media is the worst thing you can do is like be inauthentic. Like if you're authentic, obviously nobody would respond to like, oh, nice in real life. Like maybe you like it on Facebook, like you like, okay, cool, I like that, but no, I would never respond to that. If it's like a killer account or like somebody that you want to be a potential customer or whatever, like one thing I didn't even talk about is be active on other people's pages too, especially on Instagram. It's a great place to network and to find other like-minded businesses and other people. So if you get that, oh, nice, maybe you don't write back thanks, but you click on their page, they're really interesting, they're doing something awesome, and you say, oh, thanks, awesome that you're doing so, and then you follow them or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great way to build your network like that. But no, I don't think it's like necessary to respond to every single comment.
Too, just for you to like their page when even they're not really that engaging.
For sure, yeah, for sure.
Do you do probing questions, like which meat is your favorite?
Yeah, I think that's another good one. Generate some good stuff, but again, if it's not authentic, I feel like it's easy to see through. So he was just saying probing questions if you didn't hear in the back. Some of our most popular posts are like legitimate research questions, where we're like, hey, if we were to start a retail store, like where do you guys think we should start it? And we'll get tons of comments, and it's actually like interesting information. I don't know, like what's your favorite meat? Like obviously I'm just trying to get a response with that question. I don't think that would really like change my decision making, but we've made big decisions based on Instagram polls before, like really kind of big ones. So sometimes it is good to do that. This is just like, I'll leave this, I think this is my last slide. Yeah, I'll just leave this up. This is just like a quick cheat sheet for the stuff that I went over today, and one quick tagline that'll hopefully keep the stuff fresh in your mind. And then I think we have like 1 minute for questions, right? Oh, we can?
Yeah.
All right. Any questions? And then feedback too. Like if you guys, I know that we have some professional marketers in here, so add on to anything else that I'm saying in here, please.
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
You guys, maybe you have or haven't, it sounds like you've done a lot of the work yourself, looked at working with a PR firm, like to reach out to bloggers and do more targeted, bigger media type things, or is that all stuff you've done yourself?
We've done it ourselves, but I know that the ROI on that can be really high sometimes. So that's something we've thought about a lot, and it's almost for us like our problem is stocking products. Like we're sold out of everything all the time. So I don't want to spend a bunch of money to be more sold out. Yeah. But if you're in that boat, then I know that there's a huge ROI there.
Cool.
The only thing I would say is find a company that specializes in your niche, because like you guys know who the good blogs are in your industry. You may actually be better than a PR firm that doesn't know what they're talking about in your industry. So if they're an aerospace engineering PR firm and then they come to do your, your wellness blog or your wellness company, probably not going to be worth the money.
Yeah, I actually have Paul was talking about the tools that he's using on the front end. Another great tool to kind of support PR component if you want to do it yourself. We've actually gained, as an agency, we've gained some traction for some of our clients using this tool. It's called Help a Reporter Out. If you're okay with getting the feed on a daily basis, you can select the interest related to your company, and you can see what some of the top publications or news outlets are doing. And it's a range of opportunities. It can be anything from TV to print to you name it. There are opportunities through that tool, and you get picked up, especially from the anonymous media outlets. Can be really beneficial to you.
Yeah, on a multitude of levels. I mean, build your expert credibility. SEO goes through the roof. That's a great tip. Yes.
One thing that I have noticed with your social media and your online presence in general is you have amazing photos and you present yourselves really well. Like a farm can be a really dirty, smelly place, but you
can't smell through Instagram. It's great.
Can't smell through Instagram. But I just think that that makes such a difference, having nice photos, and I noticed that with myself too. I mentioned that already, but just like, can you speak to that? Because it sounds like you started from the very beginning, but have you ever done things where, and I see this with a lot of my friends who have blogs, they link to things, articles on their Facebook or Instagram, and the photo is just dark or it's not great, and I just want to like shake them. Like, people are visual, and have you ever posted like photos that aren't so great versus photos that are, and noticed a really big difference?
Hugest difference ever. I mean, professional photos. I usually have a whole like section about getting professional photos done, or even just buying stock images. Like, especially we notice it on the e-commerce side, because social is one thing, but when you come into the store, like our farm store, if we have crappy photos on there, it'll literally cut our sales in half. Like, if I have a product that's not moving, a London broil, say, or whatever, I literally go change the photo and it starts to sell. Like, photos in an e-commerce digital world are everything. And if you're not talented with photography, like I'm not either, I've like taken a lot of effort to try to get better at it. It's literally worth buying a good phone so you don't have grainy photos. Like, get a good new iPhone that works, or use a real camera. I mean, it sounds dumb, but the difference between a grainy photo and a good photo is night and day for your social media presence. And if you think you're good at photography and you're not, get some friends that'll tell you you're not good at it so you can get better at it. Yes?
Did you ever invest money in attracting a blogger? Because I know in the world of fashion and beauty, you have to pay bloggers.
Yeah, seriously.
So do you spend a budget on that?
I'll say with a food product that the bloggers are like seeking, we will feed them. But I haven't like directly paid them. During our, that maybe, it's funny, but maybe the same, something like that may work for you guys too. During our Kickstarter, I gave one big blogger 1% of whatever we raised on Kickstarter to help us out. And other than that, I've never like given financially to a blogger, but I'm not saying that's wrong. That may be a really good strategy to use.
In fashion beauty, you have to not only give them the product,
and they get paid.
and you got to pay them a couple
Totally.
$100.
Yeah.
You know, not knowing if it's going to interpret into sales, you know, it's kind of a risk.
I'm sure it is, and we've had plenty of offers for like paid blog stuff, and that's, I would say, the biggest bloggers. They have to make money somehow, so that's definitely becoming a thing now. And maybe we were blessed like 4 years ago, it wasn't as much of a thing. But there are still plenty of bloggers out there that don't require that, at least in the food space. I don't know the fashion space really all that well, but yeah, we haven't done that, but I'm not saying it's wrong by any means. Yes?
In terms of the storytelling that you're doing on social media, with like fonts and filters and colors, is that intentional? Is that something that you have deliberately done? Like, I choose these fonts to represent my business and these kind of color schemes, or is that something that's just kind of naturally?
We hired a graphic designer to do our logo and to like put a couple basic things together for us, and she literally texts me all the time like, that looks so stupid. But it's like the best advice you can ever get. And my wife's also very talented with graphic stuff and visuals. And like, I'm not, I'll just put, I know, I understand that you should pay attention to that stuff and it should be intentional, but for me it's just like, font looks cool in this picture. Like, I don't know. I'm sure that it should be a little bit more intentional. Mine's not really, and I'll get feedback quickly from people that are like mad at me if I'm doing a really bad job at it. They'll say that, like they're blunt with me. You know that though, as entrepreneurs, you need people that will just shoot you straight quickly. Yeah.
I would like to comment that what you'll notice if you look at the screen is that it's not one thing that you're doing, that it's a little bit of everything. And
totally.
I think that's the thing that people should notice here, is that you're not only doing one thing, or you just spread it across a little bit, and then you get an overall success rate.
I totally agree with that. Thank you.
For Instagram, have you ever used a bit.ly link in your profile and track results that way?
We always have some kind of a link in the profile. And usually it is a bit.ly. So bit.ly is like a link shortening tool. There is one spot within your profile on Instagram that you can put a link that people can actually click on and follow. But if they're just seeing your picture in the feed, there's nowhere for them to click. So they'd have to go to your profile and then follow that link. But I'll say I think it's still useful to do that. It gives you a place to put a link in there. So if we're doing like a farm tour or like our April 30th Farm Days plug that we'd love for you guys to come out for, when we start promoting that, I'll change the link within our profile to a direct link to go like check out our Farm Days, the actual product page so they can buy it. The thing is, there's just no way to know how much people are using it, but I would have to imagine it gets used some.
Well, with Bitly, can't you go in, because you
That's
can
true.
track clicks.
Yeah, you're right. If you use a Bitly link and you have a custom one just for your Instagram, then you could track clicks. I've never done that. It's a really good idea. Yes?
How are you getting your high-res images on Instagram? They're not taken from your cell phone.
I do take them from my cell phone, but I clean the screen really good, and I have to buy a new phone like at least every 9 months, you know? iPhone will do high enough resolution, I think, for good Instagram. I'm not like a professional. I mean, you see some really high-end stuff out there, and that's always people using a DSLR and then like transferring it to Instagram. That's just too much time investment for me. But for what we do, for the purposes of like putting the story out there, you know, I'm not saying that pictures need to be perfect. Don't take it to that level, but the iPhone's good for that. I'm just saying don't grab your flip phone.
Another tip or recommendation around that is, for social media, obviously you're going to have a varying degree of posts, like we've seen Paul demonstrate. Some are going to be those posts that are in the moment and you use your iPhone or whatever it is. But it's also good to invest in doing perhaps a photo shoot or getting somebody to take some really good pictures and just build that library.
Yep.
So, and that library is resonant of your services and your company, and it doesn't look like it's dated, something that's timeless. So that way you've invested in it and you can use it at any point in time, and you can balance your posts between what you've already had in your professional shoot versus what you take on the fly.
I think that's great. We do that exact thing. We have a Google Drive. We had a photographer come out like probably 6 months ago. We probably spent like $500. I mean, it sounds like a lot, but it's not that much really. And we have probably 500 photos that are just sitting there. So if I don't want to walk out and take a picture of an animal, I just pull one down from Google Drive, put it on, and it's like really, really fast. So I think that's a great way to do it too.
Yeah, by the way, Robin does not lay in the woods and go to the beach every day. We have a bunch of those.
They don't understand that. He's referring to the photos I post on Instagram of like being out on the beach or I think the woods thing was the gift bags that you guys, we went out in the woods and we laid everything out on the moss and we took photos of what was in the gift bag, so that sounded really weird.
Yeah, we have a very natural image for her, but yes, we stockpile it and hold on.
Yeah, exactly.
We release it slowly, yeah.
All right, so I'm going to close and move on. The last thing I'll just comment on, and I already alluded to it, but just remember that social media is social. Don't stand up in your soapbox and just like rant all the time. Like go on other people's pages, comment, like be invested in the community that you're in, because I think that goes a long ways. That's gone a long ways for us. I've actually met like some lifelong friends through random stuff like Instagram and Facebook. So it's not just personally on a professional side, but be involved in the community. Don't just only post and like not ever worry about other people's stuff. I know it takes a little extra time, but it'll be well worth it in the end. So thank you guys for having me, and definitely good luck.
That was amazing. Thank you. So you're invited back next year.